Right, people, we are back. We promised you that we would bring you this video during the international break. And although Chelsea are back this weekend, thank God for that, by the way. I absolutely hate the international break. We are going today to rank our top 20 Chelsea players from the 21st century. And I'm not on about the royal we, by the way, because you know I'm not on my own. I am with the big dog, channel fan favourite, and by the way, my new podcast partner.
I would say co-conspirator.
Co-conspirator. We have now launched the Joey and Josh podcast. So for all things that are sort of non-sport related that you might want to watch, hit the link in the description below right now. And please do us a massive favour. Subscribe to that channel. We're going to be banging out weekly videos off of that channel. But do not worry, my friends, because the Chelsea content is going to keep on coming fast and thick. So straight away, we're going to get into the list.
People have been asking, Joe, they've been saying you have to talk more about Chelsea. You've been doing too much shit chat.
Well, the shit chat's going to be on the joint channel. There you go. So it works out for everyone. Do me a massive favour right now, though. Subscribe to this channel if you're not already. If you're not already, what are you doing? You need your head checked. Smash the like button, and we are going to go in straight at number 20. I'm going to give my 21st. Josh is going to give his 22nd.
I'm going to argue.
And I am going to start number 20 with a man I love dearly, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. Now, Hasselbaink is a man whose honours, in my opinion, don't reflect the impact that he had at the club. Would you agree with that?
Definitely, definitely. Like, also, even after his time at Chelsea, you think of the clubs that he played for afterwards. It didn't really indicate how good of a player he was. And I remember I looked at the stats, right, and I actually compared him with Gudjohnsen, weirdly. And I wanted to see, how does he compare? Hasselbank's got more goals and assists.
Yeah.
I was surprised about that.
But it was them too, though. It was like they were what complemented each other perfectly. Like Gudjohnsen just playing off the back of Hasselbaink. You'd be surprised that he has more assists, wouldn't you? Because you'd think of Gudjohnsen feeding Hasselbaink going through. But what I would say is why Hasselbaink is the man that makes this list for me without actually having any, I don't want to say any honours, but any like real notable honours, because you'll see when we go through this list, like, everyone's got Premier League titles. Everyone's got Champions Leagues, more or less, and whatnot, sorry. But when we go through this list, you'll see the amount of honours. But the reason I've got to have Hasselbaink on here is, although he left in the season before we won the Premier League, right, in his time, during his time at Chelsea, we consistently climbed the table. We went, sixth, broke into the top four finally, finished second to the Invincibles and whatnot. And Hasselbank's goals fired us to a position where we were able to do that, along with help from many others. So he comes in at number 20 for me. Number 19 for me is Michael Essien. 2 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, 1 League Cup, 1 Community Shield, and 1 Champions League. And do you know what the first thing people would think? You could probably say it to me right now.
Go on, tell me.
I think people would say that's a little bit low.
I think it is harsh, especially because we're comparing this to the original list that we looked at, by the way, Score 90s list. I think, let me just have a look at it. I think he was in 8th.
Yeah.
So that just shows you. I mean, for me, mate, he's higher than that. And I'll tell you why. Purely that Arsenal goal.
That Arsenal goal was absolutely unbelievable,
wasn't
it? But remember as well, it was disgusting. It was filth. It was.
And also, he played everywhere.
If I saw that goal on Pornhub, I wouldn't think it was out of place because it was hardcore.
Do you know what? I've done some stuff to that goal that I probably would have done over
that goal.
To be fair, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. But the reason I've got him there is, despite being an instrumental part of it, I think that, and people aren't going to like this, if you class him as a central defensive midfielder, which, let's be honest, like he wasn't really, was he? He wasn't really. But there are ones that come ahead of him. Anyway, that moves me perfectly on to number 18. And for me, I've got Obi Mikel.
I rate that because I didn't think he would be anywhere near either of our lists, but he did play in the Champions League final.
Mate, listen.
Not only did he play in the Champions League final, by the way, he was fucking immense.
Played out his skin. And this is the thing. When I just read out Michael Essien's honours, mate, I'm not saying he wasn't a pivotal part of us getting to that Champions League final. But what I do know is he didn't even play in that Champions League final. It was Obi Mikel, 10 seasons at Chelsea, 2 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, 1 Community Shield, 1 Champions League, 1 Europa League. And as you say, stepped up big time in that Champions League final, John Obi
Would you
Mikel.
say, though, that his career sort of petered off? You know, he was at the club for 10 years, but those last couple of years, he wasn't really in and around the squad, was he?
No. And do you know what was a saving grace, in my opinion, for John Obi Mikel? I loved the way he fucked off Man United to join Chelsea.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the podcast.
Yeah, the podcast is great. But the story of John Obi Mikel, like...
he was in the kit.
Mate, he does a press conference in a Man United kit. He agrees terms, I think, with Man United, but it's gone through an agent. It's a little bit dodgy dealings and whatever. And in the end, he personally has to tell Alex Ferguson, hold on, Sir Alex Ferguson, that instead of joining Man United, he wants to join Jose Mourinho's Chelsea.
I mean, it was the right decision, really.
It was the right decision, but controversial at the time. I think the Court of Arbitration, was it? There was loads of things
were involved.
that got
there was some legal stuff. I mean, we did that several times in that period, didn't we?
I think Man United signed him for about 6 mil. I could be wrong, and we ended up paying about 12 mil in the case of John Obi Mikel.
Just chuck some money at it. That solves most of the problems.
Chuck some money at it. Problem resolved. That's what I do with my life. Number 17 in my list. Again, I'd love to have him higher. Good personal close friend of myself. Looked after me once as a child. It is my boy, Super Joey Cole. 7 seasons, 3 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, a League Cup, a Community Shield. He made Premier League Team of the Season 05-06. Won Chelsea Player of the Season in 2008. That actually surprised me a little bit because I kind of thought things were petering out a little bit by 2008. It wasn't long after that he was playing at Liverpool. I feel like that was like 09-10 or 10-11, something like that.
He's got one of the strangest career trajectories you've ever seen in your entire life, Joe Cole.
But
he's got one of those maps that you couldn't... Like, if you just saw the map of his career, you'd be like, who the fuck is that?
Few reasons I absolutely love Joe Cole, not just on a personal level. Firstly, for me, growing up, there was a void left when Gianfranco Zola left Chelsea Football Club.
Like a technical, small, nimble player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't there for that long because literally I think it was the season after Gianfranco Zola left was when Joe Cole came, right?
I bet you stole yourself a little bit on Joe Cole when you were growing up in your football career.
I wouldn't even say a homeless man's version. I was nowhere near as good as Joe Cole. But Joe Cole was like... He is top of the streets who'll never forget footballers.
Yeah,
like
best Joe Cole goal?
Easily. Man United wriggles out the space. I think it's Ferdinand he beats.
Yeah. Was it like a drag back?
Yeah. But also like away from Chelsea, the goal he scored against Sweden, I think it was for England, was a phenomenal goal. Yeah. Also, another thing which we've got to remember with Joe Cole is Joe Cole is the man that convinced Eden Hazard to come to Chelsea Football Club when he was on loan at Lille, and Man United were interested in Eden Hazard. Loads of everyone in the world, Real Madrid, everyone wanted Eden Hazard. Joe Cole's over at Lille. He's a true Chelsea boy, and he patterns it up. He links it up. He gets Eden Hazard to Chelsea Football Club. Do you know, surprising one, player Joe Cole played with?
Come on.
Joe Cole played with James Maddison at Coventry City towards
I heard
the end of his career.
So was that one of his last clubs then?
Yeah, it must have been. Must have been. He still plays Sunday League now. And when I met him and sat down with him, absolute legend, Joe Cole.
Do you know what? Joe Cole would be a really good one for Chelsea best all-time five-side. I bet he'd be fucking quality for it, yeah.
Good one. Number 16 on my list, I've got Ida Gudjohnsen, 2 Premier League titles, 2 Community Shields, a League Cup. Listen, this is the thing of Ida Gudjohnsen as well, right? I always have to give... He wasn't on that original list, the Score 90 list that we read out, and I was pretty horrified that he wasn't on that. I have to give credit to the guys that were there before the takeover and then still managed to not only play a part, but be an instrumental part of that side once the takeover happened and we came to fruition. We're winning titles under Jose Mourinho. And like, he comes in, right? A couple of seasons in 6th. Then he helps us crack the top 4. Next season, runners up, like I said, to Arsenal, the Invincibles. Now, the following 2 seasons with us, right? Ranieri's last season, he starts 17 league games. So when Jose Mourinho comes in, you're sort of looking at it and you're thinking, okay, I had a Gudjohnsen, but we just signed Drogba. We just signed 𝐒𝐿.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There were a lot of strikers coming in.
Hernan Crespo was already there at the club. He starts 30 league games that season.
Baller.
He opens the season by scoring the goal when he puts it over the top against Man United to beat them on the opening day and make a statement of intent. Ida Gudjohnsen, the Iceman, was the absolute Daddy. Number 15, I've got Ricardo Carvalho. He was the partner to John Terry in that famous period. 3 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, 2 Community Shields. He was an absolute baller. Number 14, I have got Dave Azpilicueta. 11 years of service, man. And do you know what? When we brought him in, I never thought he'd be as good as he ended up being.
Do you know the biggest regret that I have about Dave was that he wasn't involved in that Champions League. He came just after we'd won the Champions League, which is a good time to come in, to be fair. But yeah, like for him not to be involved in that was gutting.
It was, but then he was there for the second Champions League, wasn't he?
And also,
he wasn't. It was Azpilicueta on the pitch. He was on the pitch for the second Champions League. Yeah. So he was involved.
Not
in
only
the
was he on the
Champions
pitch, mate,
League.
he was captain.
Yeah, but you're right. Like it's so close, yeah, because he's the closest out of anyone on this list to be able to have been involved in both of those Champions Leagues because he came just after. Do you know what I mean? Like Hazard came after, left just before. He's close as well, but same with Dave as well.
Remember,
at least Dave got that.
Yeah, he captained the side to the Europa League final as well.
Yeah,
by the way,
there
you
you
always
go.
keep forgetting about the Europa League final. It means nothing to you.
2 Premier League titles, 1 FA Cup, 1 League Cup, 1 Champions League, 2 Europa Leagues, and a lot of longevity. Number 13, I have got a man who signed for 8 million. Doesn't make an appearance for his first 9 months, considers leaving the club because he is just not being given the opportunity, and ends up becoming one of our most reliable, one of our most consistent, and one of our best players that helps us have probably the best defence for the best part of a decade, and that is Branislav Ivanovic. What an absolute legend!
Yeah, that header in the Europa League final was it, or was it the Super Cup? Benfica. Loops over the top, mate. He was a fucking bulldozer.
Not only that, he scored the 4th goal against Napoli in the 4-1 win when we got through in the Champions League.
That was one of your favourite games of all time. Let alone your favourite goal.
That was my favourite game of all time. Absolutely,
he was a legend, and also he was meant to be a fucking centre back.
Ended up playing it right back, and in doing so, 3 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups, a Community Shield, a League Cup, and a Champions League to top it off. Now, number 12, right? This is when we get into the sort of rebuild almost of Chelsea. And it's not like we fell off. We just fell off from like winning titles to then coming third or something like that. But Man United had that dominant period, didn't they? It was 3 Premier League titles in a row. Yeah. That was almost unheard of at the time. Now Man City just do that sort of thing for fun, but fuck City. Either way, what I'm saying is someone had to break the threshold. And who was the man to do it? It was Jose Mourinho. He came back, the special one returned, and he almost brought in a new cast, yeah? It's not that some of the boys weren't still knocking about because you had JT still there, but you needed a new spine of the team. You know, Drogba had gone, and it was at this time that a player came in, and he makes number 12 for me, but number 11, slightly above him, will start to make sense. It's Cesc Fabregas. It is the man.
I thought you were going to go the other way around there, Jerry.
No, it's the man. No, because I'd put the other man higher. But for me, Cesc Fabregas, he's the man that pulled the strings in that rebirth of Chelsea, wasn't he?
I'll never forget Burnley.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Not because my missus is from there, but because of the pass that Cesc Fabregas does to one of my favourite players, cult hero, Andre Schürrle.
Andre Schürrle. And do you know, some people, some absolute idiots out there say that was a fluke pass.
Yeah, no, it was not a fluke. It was one of the most perfectly weighted balls I've ever seen. And I know it was against Burnley, and I know we would probably be beating them 8-0 most of the time. But fuck me, that was a wonderful game. That's when you knew that we were really starting to do something.
That was on a Monday night, I believe, that game. Yeah. I remember watching it at my pal's house. Do you know one of the reasons I loved Fabregas as well? Because he had a hard decision to make, much like Ashley Cole did, right? He's at Barca. He's achieving it all. And
playing number 9, by the way, at Barca, false 9. Weird.
And he has the option to go back to Arsenal.
He does.
But he wants to win silverware. He wants to win a Premier League. And by the way, let me bust a little myth here for you. He never won a Premier League at Arsenal Football Club. Cesc Fabregas made appearances for Arsenal during the Invincible campaign.
When he was 15.
When he was 15. But those appearances came, I think it was against Bolton or someone like that, in the Cup. They came in the League Cup. But he never made any Premier League appearances. And even if he had made Premier League appearances, I think you need a certain amount, don't you? I think you need 6 or something to collect a winner's medal.
5,
so although you can say Cesc Fabregas won the Premier League of Arsenal, officially, Cesc Fabregas never won the Premier League of Arsenal, but it didn't matter because he comes in 2 Premier League titles with Chelsea, 1 FA Cup, 1 League Cup, 1 Europa League, and yeah, there you go. Being with the Arsenal invincible season pretty much means nothing because he did it all at Chelsea.
Is he a Chelsea legend or is he an Arsenal legend?
He's a Chelsea legend, mate, because he never won the league at Arsenal. No man that ever won the league at Arsenal, but definitely won it at Chelsea because he didn't play for Arsenal. Is my number 11, Diego Costa. He helped bring the good times back to the bridge. He filled, again, we're talking about filling voids. He filled the Drogba void, didn't he? Because for years in between that, I'm not saying we didn't have some good strikers, but we didn't have anyone on that sort of level. And do you know what? For me, right, I would say at the time that he was at Chelsea Football Club, I'd say he was the best number 9 in world football for those 3 seasons.
Have we had a striker since that has really replaced his goal output?
No.
And we probably won't for a while, to be fair, until Nicholas Jackson steps up.
There you go. He had a couple of injuries in that first season, but still managed 20 goals in 26 games. He was absolute baller.
Can I just say, weird connection, played for Spain, but was completely Brazilian.
Yeah, random one.
Yeah.
But there's so many like that. Cracking the top 10, I've got a man that didn't even make it into Score 90's list, Cahill.
What a beast.
2 Premier Leagues, 2 FA Cups, 1 League Cup, 1 Champions League, 2 Europa Leagues, and just a constant performer. And let's remember with Cahill, I'm not saying like, oh, you can't pluck good players out of lower sort of sides, but he came to us from Bolton for 7 million or something like that, and ended up becoming a partner to JT, ended up becoming a leader, such a good player.
And he could bang in a few goals as well, Cahill.
Mate.
Some of the finishes that he did was almost sort of centre-forward-esque, weren't they? Like, they were acrobatic. He just got his head on the ball in some of them as well. Do you know what? Cahill was a lot more techie than people think.
So much more. Yeah. So much more. And 16-17 season, when we won the Premier League, he got himself 9 goal contributions from centre-back. Wow. I think it was 6 goals and 3 assists from centre-back.
Assists as a centre-back.
And this is the thing, like you said about being techie, people are thinking, oh, all headers from corners. Go back. Have a little watch, have a look at some of them goals. Cahill was the absolute man. Number 9, I have got Ashley Cole. Now, just the 1 Premier League title at Chelsea Football Club for Ashley Cole, by the way, which might surprise you, but it doesn't matter because he wasn't short of silverware. He had 4 FA Cups for us, 1 League Cup, 1 Champions League, 1 Community Shield, and the best thing for me was the quote from Ashley Cole, because do you remember when the camera went on him after we won the Champions League and he said, no one can say nothing to me now. This is why I came here. This is why I came here, and no one can question it. And it was brutal, but it was a moment that endeared himself to us as the Chelsea faithful.
But speaking of endearment to Chelsea fans, the fact that you've got him in 9th place is a disgrace.
Really?
He was one of, I would say, I don't think this is over-exaggerating anymore, to be honest with you. I think he's the best left-back of all time.
I'd completely agree with you. Best left-back of all time.
You've got to think Roberto Carlos is maybe an argument. Maldini, maybe.
Can't do what Ashley Cole can do. Can't do what Ashley Cole can do. I know when Prime Ronaldo, CR7, was a winger, he used to have no luck against Ashley Cole. But maybe I've got him too low on this list.
I think you have.
Either way, number 8, I've got Claude Makelele. Now, he came into the club at 30 years of age. He played with us until he was 35. And listen, he had a role named after him. We all know that. There's debate online about whether or not he created that role. But one thing he did do was he freed up Frank Lampard to be able to have the creativity that he had. And I'm not saying Frank Lampard wouldn't have banged goals for fun if it wasn't for Claude Makelele. But those sort of 5 years that he spent with us in, which, by the way, 2 Premier Leagues, 2 League Cups, an FA Cup, 2006 Player of the Year for Chelsea, that period of time, I believe, enabled Frank Lampard to have the success going forward that he had so much more.
So true.
Claude Makelele. And as well, like, I know in modern day football, we're a bit too obsessed, especially Chelsea Football Club, a little bit too obsessed with age. But like, you know, to come in at 30 and to be able to do that.
And he still had the legs, didn't he? You knew it. And also, not only was it Frank that he enabled, but also players like Michael Ballack. You know, there were other players. Even Thiago, do you remember he had some beautiful moments? Like,
what about that goal from Thiago against Man United, 2005?
Unreal.
And Mourinho's reaction to it just...
Yeah. He was waiting for that moment, wasn't he, Jose?
Right, people, I just want to quickly take this opportunity to tell you about new partners of the channel, 𝐒𝐒𝐄𝐑. When you're in the YouTube industry like I am, there is a certain type of service that you could very much do with having on your side, and that is the service that stops you making blunders. And when I'm preparing for some of my videos, I use the website 𝐒𝐒𝐑 to use the player comparison matrix, and that helps me get a better understanding of comparing the players that I'm talking about. For example, a lot of you guys know that for every Chelsea game, I put out my preferred starting lineup, and I do look into the underlying numbers of the players I'm picking and the players that I'm comparing, and that's where 𝐒𝐒𝐑 comes in. They offer the best player comparison matrix on the internet. The website is so efficient and so easy that even I can use it. For example, when I'm picking from Chelsea's 30 to 40 odd wingers that we've got at the club, I can very easily jump onto 𝐒𝐒𝐑 and see how their stats compare. But you don't need to be a YouTuber to need to use 𝐒𝐒𝐑. You could use it for your bets when you're betting on first goal scorer and things like that. It could give you a better indication. Or you could just use it to look like a genius down the pub, and we all like to do that, don't we? So thank you very much to 𝐒𝐒𝐑 for not only helping me prepare for my videos, but also partnering up with the channel. So help support me by supporting the guys that support the channel in 𝐒𝐒𝐑. They are linked in the description for this video. Let's get back into it.
Because Jose got a lot of stick for all the Portuguese players, didn't he?
Now, number 7, a man that Jose Mourinho never got the chance to work with.
Which is such a shame.
Possibly managed against, by the way. And a man that I was absolutely enraged didn't make Score 90's top 20. It must have been an admin error. It is the one and only Gianfranco Zola. And a man that, because of the timing of when he came along and when he departed, and obviously when I started going to Stamford Bridge with my old man, I'm so honoured that I got the chance to be able to watch this man. He was just phenomenal, wasn't he?
Absolute baller.
He was magic. Like, he was the Hazard before Hazard. He was the Palmer before Palmer. Like, he was that techie player. And the best moment of Zola is obviously not even a goal, is it?
Well, it should be the Norwich goal, really.
But
let's
be
honest.
But it's not. It's just him absolutely bodying Jamie Carragher.
You love that moment, don't you?
Carragher never got over it.
Was that at Stamford Bridge?
It was at the Bridge. It was on the last day of the season when we secured Champions League football. And obviously in that season, I've already said he had so many goals and assists in that season. That was the season when I think he won our player of the season that year. It was the one he went out on. Apparently, when Roman took over the club, he personally called Zola and said, please just stay with us for one more season. So even Roman Abramovich understood the importance of Gianfranco Zola, and being a man of his word, he said, I can't do it. I've already signed the contract with, I can never actually pronounce their name. It's Cagliari, right? Yeah. And he said, I've already signed the contract with them, whatever. Now, being it was Roman Abramovich, and being that, listen, Bowley likes the loophole, but Roman could do whatever he wanted. He could have got him out of that contract. He could have paid off that contract. Zola had given him his word. Unfortunately, we had to depart with him, but Gianfranco Zola, he's got to be on that list.
So many memories. Just seeing him even in that Autoglass kit, like, oh, come on, it was just absolutely brilliant. They should have retired that number permanently.
Exactly.
Shouldn't they?
Number 6 on my list, they don't get the credit they deserve, goalkeepers. It is obviously Petr Cech. 4 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 2 Community Shields, 1 Champions League, 1 Europa League. And do you know what it is, right? The tale will go down as Didier Drogba being the man that won us that Champions League, right? He did. He got us back into the tie with the header. He scored the penalty. But he wouldn't have been in the position to do so without Petr Cech, would he?
No, he absolutely wouldn't. Like, let's be honest. Petr Cech, 2 saves, was it, in the penalty shootout?
So there was
well, it hit the post.
It hit the post, but here's this, right?
Yeah.
So he saves the penalty from former Chelsea player Arjen Robben in extra time, right? The game's dead and buried if it's not for Petr Cech in that moment. Yeah. He saves that penalty, yeah? That means that including the 5 in the penalty shootout, he comes up against 6 penalties in that match. How many does he go the right way for?
Every single one.
6 out of 6 penalties. Now we're talking about penalties is a very psychological moment, right?
Yeah, but he's if
you're about to step up and take a penalty, and you know you're in there with the best goalkeeper in the world, and you're looking, say you're 4th, say you're 5th, say you're Lahm when he misses his penalty, or Schweinsteiger when he hits the post, yeah, right? if you're about to do that and you're like, not only is he the best goalkeeper, he's gone the right way for every single one so far. He saves the penalty in the end, or he comes off the post. He goes the right way. He saves against Lahm. Schweinsteiger one comes off the post, and ultimately it gives Drogba the opportunity to make history for the rest of it.
But ultimately, Petr Cech, I think, was one of the first goalkeepers to really put time and energy into research. Like, I remember him talking afterwards and just saying, I used to spend hours watching penalties, watching, knowing which way they were going to go. So it wasn't luck. That was all science. And he's an incredibly smart man. The fact that he was involved in the club at a senior management level says everything. And do you know what? We're actually a poorer club without him being involved.
I'd say so. Yeah. Number 5, I have got N'Golo Kante.
Wow.
1 Premier League title, 1 Champions League, 1 Europa League. And I would honestly say, at that time, genuinely the best player in the world in that role. He went and took the Makelele role and he went, I like what you've done with that, Claude. Now I'm going to make it my own. And he became almost a box-to-box player. He was way more creative in a way. And like, people won't like it, but in terms of someone that was sort of brought in at first to do that Makelele role, because I believe at Leicester he sort of did do that Makelele role a little bit more, but at Chelsea he expanded it and he was absolutely phenomenal. Box-to-box, as I say, what a great player he was. Now, number 4, this might rile a few people. Some people might say he might need to be higher on this list. It's obviously Jeremy. No, I'm joking. It is number 4,
though.
Eden Hazard. 2 Premier Leagues, 1 FA Cup, 1 League Cup, 1 Community Shield. So unlucky to have just missed out on both Champions Leagues, by the way. Comes the season after the first one and leaves the season before the second one. Player of the season. He used to get in Premier League season, team of the season all the time. I've got on it about 4 times. And literally, not only the best player in the world at the time, but I don't want to say this because it sounds bad, but I love the fact that we got the best of him and no one else did.
We absolutely did. And do you know what? He was the type of player that could just change a game completely by himself, couldn't he? There were moments in which, like, we'll go on about goals and goals and goals, but there were moments in which he just took the piss, didn't he, in moments? Like, do you remember there was a cross that came over, he just, it went off his back, he controlled it off his back. There's things like that. And then, mate, for me, like, you have to just say, there's 2 goals that stick in my mind. The Liverpool goal. Was it the Carabao Cup goal? Just absolutely just made them look stupid. But really, the best one of them all.
I preferred it.
Is the Arsenal goal.
I preferred it. The Arsenal goal, when he runs through and just has people...
Coquelin.
But do you know what? Do you know what as well, right? Like, that Arsenal goal, phenomenal from a technical point of view. And obviously it came in a time for us. I think that was the league we won the season, wasn't it? Yeah. So it obviously meant a lot. But do you know what I loved?
Go on.
The Spurs goal.
Oh, the Spurs goal.
We finished like 10th in the league, you know what I mean? There's really
Awful
nothing to
season.
cheer about. But when you ruin Spurs' title challenge, you are a fucking legend.
The West Ham goal as well was pretty fucking
unreal.
quality.
He does Rice in the build-up to that as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Let's go on to number 3, the ultimate big game player. 10 goals in 10 finals, is it? 4 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 2 Community Shields, and the Champions League. It's obviously Didier Drogba. He was phenomenal. And when he was on fire, he was on fire. There are some crazy stats about Didier Drogba, obviously. I think it was only 2 or 3 seasons where he actually scored more than 9 league goals or something like that. But as I say, the ultimate big game player. And had he not scored those goals in those finals, I'm not saying we wouldn't have won them, but I don't think there would have been as many wins in there. Number 2. This one's so hard.
I don't know how you're doing this.
It's so hard. Do you know? You haven't seen my list, have you?
I don't know your top 2.
It's so hard, man.
I thought about this a lot, these top 2, because it's a very difficult one. Just, do you know what? After 3, I think you just got to say your number 2. 1, 2, 3.
John Terry.
Yeah.
I've got to go with JT at number 2. I want to put him at number 1. I really do. But you know my number 1 is, listen, 19 seasons at Chelsea Football Club as a senior player, once coming through the academy. 5 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 2 Community Shields, 1 Champions League, which he did get in the full kit for. And we love 1 Europa League. And in the 11-12 season, right, where we won the Champions League, despite him not actually featuring in the final, do you know what his goal contribution per game is? So back then, right, you would say a a very decent Premier League striker back then. This is before the Haaland days and Man City dominance and whatever. A very decent, no, not even very decent. I would say a very, very good Premier League striker was a 1-in-2 man, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
100%.
Like if you look for example,
19 goal contributions throughout the whole season would be amazing.
Yeah, a 1-in-2 man is a very good Premier League striker.
Yeah.
Mate, John Terry from centre-back in that season was a 1-in-3 man.
That's ridiculous.
1 goal contribution for every 3 matches he played.
He must have been a fancy football legend.
He was
as a centre-back.
He was ridiculous. Yeah. And I absolutely love John Terry. But the man I have got to put in front of him at number 1, 13 seasons of service, 211 goals in all competitions, 3 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, 2 FA Cups, I've already said that. I think I maybe have.
Just add another 2 in anyway.
Another 2 in. 1 Community Shield, 1 Champions League, and a Premier League Hall of Famer. I would say the best Premier League midfielder of all time is Super Frankie Lampard. Now, I would love to glaze over him even more, but he's going to be in your list. We've only got 20 minutes left here, so let's get straight into your list from number 20, Josh. I want you to hit it with me hardcore.
Okay, I'm ready for the hardcore.
The
hardcore join us. Give us a big like for the hardcore.
And just before we do go into Josh's list, I'm going to remind you one more time, linked in the description right now is the joint channel. Joey and Josh, make sure you get involved. You subscribe to that channel. We really need you guys over there. Hit me with your list, Josh.
We're going to be having a lot of fun over that joint channel. Come on. But ultimately, if you want a bit of a laugh, strap in for this top 20. We're going to whiz through them.
Yeah.
Do you know what, mate? I like your top 20, but fuck me, we've got a different top 20.
Really?
Honestly, I was so surprised with some of those numbers. I really was. But let me get into it. Number 20, you convinced me on number 20, right? Because we had this discussion beforehand.
You've charmed me.
You've charmed me. Gudjohnsen makes the list.
The Iceman's got to be in there.
The Iceman has got to be in there. And do you know what? I was going to, I'll tell you my thought process here. I really wanted to have Willian in here. You're not a big fan of Willian, which I surprised.
I am a massive fan of Willian.
But he's not in your top 20.
I just think there's 20 better players.
Which is gutting, because I ultimately do think that Willian was an immense player. But spoiler alert, Willian isn't on my list because I've slapped Gudjohnsen in there. Just great memories. I knew he was a top bloke as well. And like you say, there's just like that like seeing him in that kit in 2005, the fact that he was there pre-Abramovich era, like he was just a baller, and I just love seeing him. So he has to make the list, but only just in there. 19, again, you twisted my arm slightly here, but because of the techers. And ultimately, there's a mix in this list, right? I'm trying to go for players that had key moments at Chelsea, one, that had goals and assists, but also I'm trying to put players that I think were just brilliant in their time here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, players that wouldn't necessarily have been, winning every single league title, but players that were just fucking great. And I remember Joe Cole and his technique, his style, the swagger, like everything about him. And actually what I really wanted to do with putting him in this list with the fact that no other people really rated him. He was kind of the forgotten man for England, wasn't he? The one that was slapped outside on the left-hand side.
Left wing,
Do you know what I mean? And even as a right foot, it was always the left midfielder was always the player that you really just had to crowbar into the team.
If Joe Cole was playing in the Premier League today, he's one of the top 5 players, attacking wise.
Just tells you absolutely everything about him. But I absolutely love that. And the story that you say, the anecdote about Eden Hazard is just...
Because what you've got to remember as well now is like the game's got softer.
Yeah.
So like Joe Cole was just getting fucking battered, like kicked about all the time and whatnot. Whereas like you're not allowed to do as much of that anymore. And I think that would suit Joe Cole. Like I think the game's got softer. He'd be one of the best players in the league.
He'd be playing for this team, by the way, right now, wouldn't he?
100%.
Like right hand side, he'd be playing for us, wouldn't he? And he'd be smashing it up. Yeah, absolutely smashing it up. So then the next one I'm going to go for is Jimmy Floyd. Like you, amazing memories of this guy. My old man had a shirt with his name on the back, trying to fit his name on the back of the shirt.
Must have cost a bit. What's that? 12 letters, say?
Price per letter, absolutely ridiculous. Here's a quiz question for you, because I know the answer to this. Do you know the longest name on the back of a shirt in the Premier League in history?
Van something, isn't it?
Van Henegor of Hesselink.
Yeah,
Van Henegor of Hesselink, something like that.
Yeah.
He actually managed to get that on the shirt. Who was it for? Can you remember? Who's he play for?
Stoke?
I think it was Wolves.
Okay.
But I might be chatting shit.
Fair play.
But yeah, Jimmy Floyd. Do you know what? I've never seen a man with so much power in his legs. I think he might have been the player with the biggest legs that have ever played for Chelsea. Thighs.
Great set of thighs.
Do you know what?
Great set of thighs.
Jimmy Floyd, if you can give us a measurement, I'd love to know the measurement of the thighs.
And the thighs too. Right, we've got to crack on.
Next, I'll go for Ivanovic, Branislav.
Yeah.
Amazing memories. And the fact that he was a centre-back playing at right-back just tells you everything you need to know. The way that he could bomb up the wing on the right-hand side.
Rapid.
He was spacey. He was so fast. And also he could whip a ball in for a centre-back. Weird. Gary Cahill was then my next one.
Yeah.
He has to be on the list. The fact that he wasn't in Score 90s list is absolutely ridiculous.
But not just Score 90s, like he's just globally underrated, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. He was involved in the Champions League final. The fact that, you know, we had such the threadbare squad and he just put the game on his back, didn't he? He was absolutely immense. Then I'm going through a bit of a, you can see I'm going through a bit of a phase here. I've got another centre-back, which you didn't have in your list.
Mm.
Can you name who you think
I think you're going to put Sideshow Bob, aren't you? You're going to put David Luiz in there.
I was going to put David Luiz in, but I decided to put instead Thiago Silva.
Yeah, fair play.
Do you know why I've put him in?
He was a victim of the fact that it was just that one Champions League win for him, and obviously no other silverware. But I mean, cup winners and stuff like that. But I don't know. I know I've read out Community Shields, and there's so many of them that I missed out there. But I don't
think
always
the Community Shields you class
them as much. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's a bit of a blunder for me, not having Thiago Silva in there.
The thing with me, right, as I say, I've given you my criteria. The fact is Thiago Silva was one of the best centre-backs of all time. Maybe not during his time period at Chelsea, but the fact that he was doing it when he was, 35,
no,
36?
mate, I'd even say during his time period
Well,
at
there you
Chelsea.
go.
And I'll tell you one thing, I'm going to be controversial here.
Yeah, go on.
I had Carvalho in my list, right? You see that period of time when it was JT and Carvalho?
Yeah.
I think JT and prime Thiago Silva is a better pairing.
And they would have conceded less goals.
Probably.
And that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Thiago Silva was immense. And
The
again,
overhead
just
kick off the
purely
line
on
against
quality.
Spurs.
Oh, he's just everything he did. Do you know what, mate? Even the Bell Silva stuff, I just fucking love that.
She loves it hardcore.
She loves it hardcore.
Yeah.
And do you know what? She would love to be back at Stamford Bridge as well
There you
herself.
go.
The fact that those two, he comes to Chelsea at the end of his career in a time in which he'd won everything, didn't he? You know, he'd played for some of the best teams in the world, played with some of the best players in the world. He comes to Chelsea, didn't really need to do anything, and yet he gave absolutely everything for us. I just rate him so highly. So for me, he has to be on the list. The next one that I've gone in there for is Diego Costa.
What number is this?
This one is 14 for Diego Costa. So yeah, I think he's absolutely brilliant. Banged in goals, just beast. Yep. Then I'm going for another Spaniard who I don't think you did have on your list, but was our player of the year twice in a row. Had an unbelievable spell for us. And again, another charming man. Maybe I'm just going for people that I like. Juan Mata.
Yeah, the only thing with Juan Mata is he didn't win the Premier League for us, did he?
He didn't, but fuck the trophies. Again, you're just thinking about quality, how good he was. Like, we're talking about the impact that Eden Hazard had. Juan Mata on his day was an absolute world beater.
Brilliant. But he also went to Man United.
Yeah, but by
the way, I loved Juan Mata. I loved Juan Mata, and I did consider him for the list. I haven't forgotten about him.
Yeah.
I was under careful consideration. Yeah. But when I then looked at the other names, I'm like, nah, do you know what? I've got to have him in there.
Fair enough.
And it's like, for me, it's like, if I'm including Juan Mata, maybe I include Oscar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and also, but by the way, I absolutely loved Oscar.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise Oscar's, like, I think he's in the top 40 or 45 appearances for Chelsea of all time.
You know.
That's mad, isn't it? Then I've got the one and only Claude Makelele. The fact that he was involved in the coaching setup for ages afterwards as well. Just a top bloke. What a player.
And he owes me a lot because I think I'm the only person that gets the chant going nowadays.
Yeah, you do.
Most people at Stamford Bridge have forgot it, and I'm boozed up, and I'm giving it the old 1, Maka 2, Maka 3, Makelele, 4, Maka 5, Maka 6,
one of your favourite chants.
Club Makelele.
Yeah.
Oh my God, do you know what my new favourite is?
Come.
What is it? You know the Human League, Don't You Want Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who is it?
He's running down the right. He's fucking dynamite. His first name is Pedro and his last name's Neto. Pedro Neto, baby.
I haven't heard this one.
Pedro Neto. Oh.
What a baller.
Yeah.
What an absolute baller.
I heard it the other night.
There you go. Yeah. Well, yeah. Let us know what your favourite Chelsea chant is.
Yeah.
Mine is Chelsea, 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 Chelsea.
Yeah, it's great, and it's so, I don't know how they came up with it.
I don't know how they can remember all the words.
You know what? Fuck him. I hate him, Kai Havertz. But at the same time, right, he did have a good chant. Oh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Kai Havertz is the best on earth.
Yeah. Why are we talking about Kai Havertz in our top 20? Fuck him.
Go.
Then going from another defensive midfielder to another, I'm going to go for Essien in this place. Just so many
You've got him high
memories.
compared to me.
I rated Essien very, very highly. Again, played everywhere all over the pitch. Played as number 10, played as a DM, played as a right back. Do you remember the right back Essien era? Beast. Absolute beast. Best player to play at right back for Chelsea as a non-right back.
Since Ryan Bertrand.
Yeah. Then I've, again, you've twisted my arm here. Gianfranco Zola makes the top 10.
Yes, he cracks it. He cracks it.
What an absolute baller. Some fantastic memories.
Feel sorry for kids like now, not only that didn't watch him because like, yeah, there's players you didn't watch like Frank Lampard and whatever, but like even Zola is like, it's so far back that it's almost like they're out there. You can still find them. But YouTube-wise, like there's not even like that many compilations of Zola on YouTube, and he was magic. You had to be there.
You really did. That's a 90s man, but actually good.
Yeah.
Then you got Cesc Fabregas.
Yeah.
Hero. We know the songs.
Yeah.
I think 9. Mate, for me, the thing is these players are just immense, weren't they? They were just absolutely immense. Then I've got the main man, Dave.
Yep. That's high, though.
What number did you have?
I had him in there pretty low, to be honest. I had him in there at 14th, so you've got him all the way up at 8th.
He's won a lot of trophies. I think it was 8 total trophies that he won at Stamford Bridge.
Yep.
He was there through the good times. He was there in the bad times. You know what? He was a consistent throughout. Played in all different positions. Never really kicked up a fuss. And has one of the best names of all time.
And we won't, realise this at the minute because of obviously the injury woes, but played a big part in mentoring Reece James and bringing him through. And if we can get Reece back to where we want him to be, and he does end up going down as a club legend, which I think if he definitely will, if he can be fit and available for us, then we'll have Azpi to thank for a lot of that.
Wasn't there that season where Azpilicueta got like 10 plus assists for Diego Costa?
Probably.
From right back. Right centre back.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Then I've got Kante in there.
Yep.
Again, just techers, World Cup winner. Just unbelievable. It was the not West Ham, it was the Man United goal. That was the ridiculous one, wasn't it? Just a beast.
Yeah.
Like he just does like feints that you just don't see coming. He was way more techie than people made out. Kante.
Do you think he could play alongside Caicedo now? I think he could.
I think he could. I mean, if you talk about Lavia, I mean they're relatively similar, aren't they? Really, Kante's a level above, but Lavia's pretty fucking good. I'd love to see those two together. I mean, to be fair though, are they a little bit too similar, Caicedo and Kante?
I actually have had this debate before. No, I don't think they are.
Really?
I don't think they are. No.
I'd love to see them in this team. Fucking hell, imagine Kante being back. To be fair, mate, he's not even that old, really. Bring him back.
He done it at the Euros, didn't
bring
he?
him back.
Yeah.
Bring him back. Then we're up to 6th place now.
Yeah.
The fact that you had this guy so low actually makes me physically sick after what he did to Cristiano Ronaldo. It's Ashley.
Mate, I didn't even have him that low.
Mate,
I had Ashley Cole.
I remember we did a video.
I had him at 9th and you've got him at 6th. You only got him 3 places
but that's a
above
disgrace.
me.
I remember we did a video, right, where we had a sort of a draft for the Chelsea best 11. And I remember, I think you picked him as your 2nd or 3rd pick.
What?
In your draft.
Oh, yeah, because he's the best Chelsea. He's the best thing we've ever had at left back.
So get him higher in your list, mate.
But then left back,
Yeah, but fuck it doesn't matter. Centre backs can be right up there in terms of best players. Come on.
Yeah.
Talking off. No, I'm joking. Next one is number 5. Has to be Eden Hazard.
Yeah.
Now,
phenomenal.
I really did have a debate in myself about whether I wanted him or the next guy in the position that they're in. But Eden Hazard just had so many memories, but because of the way he left, it was so gutting, wasn't it? The fact, I would have loved to have just seen 2 more seasons of him.
Hazard was the exception to the rule as well. Like, you hear so many players talking about the fact that he didn't train hard, he didn't really care, whatever. Sometimes he'd come back a little bit podgy after
But he still turned it on, didn't he?
Oh,
he was still so fast.
He turned me on.
He was quick, wasn't he? Even when he put on all that weight, he still had that sort of like that burst of pace. Yeah,
vamos.
Very, very Joey Knight-esque.
Yep,
then I've got the one and only Petr Cech.
Kepa Peck.
Yeah.
It's very high for a goalkeeper.
Do you know what the thing? I don't give a fuck about the positions. Look what he did for us. Like the thing that for me that endeared me most with Petr Cech was that moment in which the Stephen Hunt thing happened. Stephen Hunt, what an absolute see you next Tuesday. I just felt for him so sort of sincerely and closely that I bonded to him in a way that you knew he was going to be a club legend after that. When he came back, he wore the cap. Yeah, just brutal moments. Then I've got the one and only Didier in number 3, which means...
I'm so interested to see who you've gone with for your top 1 and 2 out of JT and Lamps.
Do you know what I was looking at? I was looking at total trophies.
But then total trophies is like, you got to think JT was there for longer before Lamps and longer after Lamps.
Oh, yes, he was. And do you know what? That nearly clinched it for me.
You've done him in number 2 and all.
That nearly clinched him. When you look at the amount of goals that Frank scores and you consider where he was in the pitch. Like he was,
to confirm, you've got JT number 2.
I've got JT, unfortunately, number 2. So a quick moment on JT. The leaving speech was one of the worst moments of my life. I remember seeing it, being in the stadium, tearing up, just begging him to stay. It was encore. There were shouts of encore, just one more. Just JT could have played on.
Do you know what I loved as well about John Terry?
Yeah.
Is the fact that, like, firstly, a lot of people tell you, it wasn't just him, it was the senior figures and whatnot, and I don't want to take any credit away from Roberto Di Matteo, like, did a brilliant job, but listen, people gave JT stick for getting in his full kit after that Champions League final. Mate, he could have got in a suit after the Champions League final and lifted it before Di Matteo because he was the manager in that dressing room at times, and especially on that occasion. But I love the fact that Rafa tried to shun him out of the team, tried to get him out.
Dickheads.
Comes back. Yeah. Team of the season next season.
No wonder we fucking hated Rafa Benitez, by the way. What an absolute Spanish fucking little twat.
Perfect wording for it.
So, and then look, I had to go Frank, because you talk about leaders, right? And obviously JT is the ultimate leader. But, you know, Frank was there, smart guy in the dressing room. And he had his moments as well. Like, he didn't have JT in the Champions League final to back him up, did he? He was there all by himself, leading the charge as a captain on the pitch.
Do you think, that it goes to show the regard they're held in of these two players, that to memory, really, can you name me 2 ex-players who every single match without fail are still sung about?
Yeah,
because every single game without fail, you will hear at least 2 or 3 times double. John Terry has won the double, and every single match without fail, at least 2 or 3 times you'll hear super Frank. And there's not many others. Like I'm saying, I'm like joking about, have a bit of banter said about getting the Makelele going. And I do get it going sometimes, but. They're the 2, aren't they? Like they're the 2. Is there another player that you hear sung about?
I mean, Stevie G with Liverpool, maybe.
Yeah, fuck Liverpool.
Yeah, I can't think of any others. To be fair, like even Man United, they don't look back on their legends in the same way, do they? They don't sing the songs. No. So yeah, mate, I have to say just the impact. And you know what? I will say this as well because I slagged him off on his managerial record. I wish him all the very best at Coventry City if he does end up going there, because the rumours are he's going to be there. I think the biggest travesty that Chelsea have had in a very long time is not having Frank still involved in some way.
And do you accept that you were wrong that Frank Lampard is a huge calibre above Wayne Rooney when it comes to managerial credentials?
After seeing the comments, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. People, you asked for it. We delivered it. That was our top 20 players from the 21st century for Chelsea Football Club. And now we've done it. Please, if you haven't already, this is the 3rd time of asking, make sure you hit the link in the description and subscribe to Joey and Josh. We are going to be putting out an episode every single week from that channel. In those episodes, we are going to have a vast variety of fun,
nostalgia,
different topics, true crime.
Oh, we've got a wonderful episode that you need to watch, all about some beautiful Swedish sisters.
And to be honest, mate, by the time this episode drops, there'll be a matter of hours maybe away from watching that, maybe 48 hours maximum, something like that.
But get subscribed now.
Get subscribed now because we've already got an episode up on there. You lot, the hardcore, most of you have already watched it. And by the way, can I just say one thing, right? Do you know how long I was doing YouTube before I had a YouTube video that hit 1,000 views in the first 24 hours?
I reckon it was at least 6 months.
It was 6 months. I was doing it for 6 months, and then I finally had one. And then it went and went and went. Our first upload within the first 24 hours hit 1,000 views. And that sounds like nothing, you know? When you're watching my channel, you look at the Wolves review after the game, 72,000 views, something like
what
that.
about the boxing channel? Don't worry about the boxing channel.
Boxing
Fucking
channel?
hell.
Oh, I only did 250,000 views this weekend on the boxing channel. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But either way, like 1,000 views in the first hour and that. Also, the socials are linked in the description. So you're going to get the Joey and Josh podcast. You're going to get all the social clips and stuff like that linked in the description. Please support us with this journey because you can be one of the first 100 subscribers or whatever. And there was people commenting in saying I'm 45th subscriber, I'm 50th subscriber and whatnot. You can be one of the first 1,000, definitely. And that channel is going to be a big one.
It's going to be, we're going to have fun. The key thing, right, is we're here for Chelsea chat. Maybe if you join Joe and Josh, you're going to have a lot more shit chat.
There you go.
And you love it.
There you go.
Get involved.
We're working hard on it. People, we will see you all in the next one.